Hello everybody, welcome to my English learning channel. I am Zulfadli Diamo. This time I would like to present to you about how to analyze a noun and adjective clause. Adjective clause, often referred to as a relative clauses, are dependent clauses that serve the precise function of modifying a noun or pronoun in the main clause. They answer the questions which one or what kind. And adjective clause function as a modifier. Just like single word adjective, an adjective clause provides descriptive information about the noun called the antecedent immediately preceding it. Their placement is key to their function. And introduction by relative pronouns. Adjective clauses are always introduced by a specific set of words, known as a, as a relative pronouns or relative adverbs like who, whom, whose, which, that, where, and when. These words connect the clause to the antecedent noun. Example: the book that I read was fascinating. The antecedent book, the noun being modified. Adjective clause that I read, and the function, the clause clarifies which specific book that speaker is referring to. In some cases, the relative pronoun, particularly that or which functioning as an object, can be omitted, but the clause still functions as an adjective. The article that we discuss is military reading. The role of relative pronouns in adjective clauses. The relative pronoun not only connects the dependent clause to the main clause, but also serves as a grammatical function within the adjective clause itself: subject, object, or possessive. Who, whom, or whose. These are reserved for modifying people or human antecedents. In this case, who functions as a subject of the clause. For example, the scholar who wrote the essay is here. Whom functions as the object of the verb or preposition in the clause. For example, the colleague whom I respect agreed. Whose indicates position. For example, the students whose paper was cited won the award. Which or that. They are used to modify non-human antecedents, things, concepts, or animals. In this case, which primarily used in non-restrictive or non-essential clauses. That exclusively used in restrictive or essential clauses. It can sometimes replace who, whom, or which. For example, the theory which was proven changed the field. Where or when. These are relative adverbs used to modify nouns or place or time. Where modifies noun related to location, for example, the university, the building, or the school. When modifies noun related to time, for example, the year, the period, the day, the month, etc. For example, for place, the city where I studied is beautiful. And the example for time is the year when the treaty was signed is crucial. Punctuation meaning restrictive versus non-restrictive. The presence or absence of commas drastically alter the meanings and grammatical classification of an adjective clause. This is a critical distinction in formal writing. Restrictive or essential clauses. These clauses contain information that is essential to identify or specify the noun they modify. If the clause were removed, the sentence intended meaning would be unclear or incomplete. Punctuation. No commas are used to set up the clause. Pronoun choice. Use that or who, whom, whose, though that is preferred for things. Example: the documents that were leaked yesterday caused a crisis. The clause specify which documents it is essential. And non-restrictive or non-essential clauses. These clauses provide additional descriptive information that is helpful but not necessary to identify the noun. The sentence would still make sense without this extra detail. Punctuation. They are always set up by commas. And pronoun choice must use which for things or who, whom, whose for people. Never use that. For example, the new policy. which is highly unpopular, takes effect next month. The main clause is clear even the main clause is clear even if the clause is removed. Critical distinction. Restrictive. Students who study regularly pass the exam. Only the studying students pass. And non-restrictive. Students who study regularly pass the exam. Meaning all students study regularly and they all pass. And chapter 2, the noun clause. Noun clause is a dependent clause that performs the job of a single noun within the main sentence. If you can replace the entire clause with a single pronoun like it, something, or someone, it is functioning as a noun clause. Function as a noun, they do not modify other words. They are the subject, object, or complement themselves. They represent a concept, fact, question, or state. Introduction by subordinating words. Noun clauses are typically introduced by words such as that, what, wherever, who, whoever, whether, if, why, how, or when. Note that and who or when can also introduce other types of clauses, so function is key. For example, what she said surprised everyone. Noun clause is what she said, and the function this entire clause is the subject of the main verb surprised, and the replacement test it surprised everyone. Unlike adjective clauses, noun clauses do not require commas. They are seamlessly integrated into the sentence structure to represent a core idea or concept. Syntactic function of noun clauses in detail. Noun clauses are versatile and can occupy almost any position a simple noun can, adding significant depth and precision to complex sentences. 1. Subject of the verb. The entire clause acts as the agent or topic, performing the main action of the sentence. It usually appears at the beginning of the sentence. For example, what you did was amazing. The clause is the subject. Second, direct object of a verb. The clause receives the action of the main verb, of the verbs of knowing, believing, stating, or feeling. For example, I know that he is honest. The clause is the object of know. 3. Indirect object, less common. The clause receives the direct object, who or what the action is done to or for. For example, give whomever who won a charge. The clause is the indirect object. And 4. Object of a preposition. The clause follows a preposition and completes the prepositional phrase. For example, I am interested in what you think. The clause is the object of the preposition in. Key differences and differentiation. Distinguishing between these two clauses, the types is vital, especially when dealing with words like that, who, or when, which can introduce either type of clause. Primary function. Modify describes specific noun or pronoun, the antecedent. Function as a core part of speech. Subject, object, or complement. Starting words. Relative pronouns, who, which, that, whose, or relative adverbs, where, and when. Subordinators, that, and question words, what, how, why, whether, if, etc. Punctuation requires commas if non-restrictive or non-essential. Generally requires no special punctuation, no commas. Test for identification. Can you remove it and still clearly identify the noun? Can you replace the entire clause with it or something? Example 1. The book that you gave me is great. Modify his book. I believe that you're right. There, object of a belief. Example 2. The sentence who is leading the project is brilliant. Whoever finishes first will present the result, the subject. I think that's all my presentation about how to analyze noun clause and adjective clause. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.